You've just entered the Extra Zone Arcade. With Sonic's 35th anniversary date drawing closer and closer, and with the Rewind initiative coming to a close with the 90s era, it's time to think about what's next. I think we could find out as soon as later this month. So now seems like the best time to look at what could be the next big evolution of the franchise. You know, and massively date this video. Or will it? See, I think I have a pretty good idea of what this next game will look like, so make sure to watch all the way through to see my vision. Hit like and subscribe if you love it and want to see more Sonic and other content from me. Now this is a staggering piece of information. Later this year, Frontiers will be 4 years old. Where the hell did that time go? The dev time between it and Sonic Forces was around 5 years, but this was A, due to COVID, B, development restarting a bunch, and C, it even got delayed a year. So in other words, this next game, probably suffering way less dev hell, is for sure going to come out either this year or next year. But what's the most likely option? Always bet on the holiday season. If it happened to be this year's holiday, it'd also be dropping just several months ahead of Sonic Movie 4's release. Wouldn't it be great to advertise the newly released Sonic game before the movie starts? Well, apparently not, because if it was this year, I feel like they would have at least shown something for the game. Even just one of those CGI teasers that give us a whole lot of nothing that I'm sure we all love so much. Still gonna feverishly analyze it whenever that does drop, so stay tuned. It just seems like too short a marketing cycle than we typically get. Assuming the game does get revealed here in May and the game drops during the usual November season, that's only a 6-month marketing cycle. Even side games like Shadow Generations and Sonic Racing Crossworlds had longer ones at 9 months each. I guess there was the exception of Superstars, which had all of 4 months to market itself, but that was only a 2D game. Not much point in having the same amount of trailers to show basically the same thing, at least without revealing the entire game. All in all, it seems more likely that the game will come out in 2027. Not to mention several of the last anniversary titles haven't come out in the actual year. Mania, Forces, and yes, even Frontiers all drop the following year. But when in 2027? Holiday still seems the most likely, even if it means they won't be able to capitalize on the movie sales as much. At the very least, I do think we'll have some trailers for the game before the movie. I see this going exactly like Frontiers rollout. We get our teaser trailer in a Sonic Central at the end of May. Reason I think we'll get a Central is because we have a lot of stuff to reveal like Frontiers Definitive Edition. Then, at the Game Awards, we'll get a more substantial trailer probably alongside one for Sonic 4. That leads into 2027 where we get more reveals, demos, showcases, the works, until the game releases towards the end of the year. Okay, great. So we know when the game is dropping, but what is the game? That's probably what you're here for, so let's get into it. It's Sonic Frontiers 2. Probably an everything but name. Now, I know that's not very creative of me, but come on. It's so unbelievably obvious that our next game is going to majorly overhaul the new formula Frontiers brought to the series. I mean, surely Sonic Team would never throw out a successful formula in favor of something completely different and objectively worse in every aspect. Yeah, I don't think they'll make that mistake again. Not to mention, the game's director, Morio Kishimoto, explicitly stated multiple times that the next game is building on Frontiers' foundation. This means a continuation of open zone exploration, collectathon platforming, and fast-paced combat. We'll get more into how these might evolve later, but we also know Frontiers' updates and Final Horizon had a few features that were essentially a test for what's to come. First, the spin dash, which based on comments directly from Kishimoto, is looking to be re-implemented as a core feature in Sonic's moveset. In Frontiers, it functioned pretty similarly to the boost, just with less restrictions. It was pretty busted, but in a super fun way that did improve the game. Despite that, I think we'll see that the environments are going to be designed more around momentum and rolling physics, so the spin dash won't seem as broken. The cyberspace levels we got in FH are proof of this. Levels that are specifically designed with launching yourself off ramps and taking shortcuts by rolling in mind. They're not perfect, but again, it was clearly more about testing the boundaries of what we can do with this thing. That really just leaves one of the more important features, that being the multiple playable characters. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy will all likely return and have their own skills, movesets, and potentially storylines if we're building off the ending of Frontiers 1. Would be really dope to see the multiple perspectives return from the adventure era. In addition, we might get a 5th character in Shadow. He wasn't in Frontiers 1 of course, but his visiting Chaos Island and the more fleshed out combat moveset in Shadow Generations points towards his inclusion here. Plus, his role in Sonic Movie 3 propelling him back into the spotlight even more means he'll likely show up in more games. And, you know, the fact that it's Shadow the goddamn Hedgehog, the most popular character other than Sonic himself, his Chaos control would definitely make for some fun combat moments. I can already see some nutty combos coming out of that. Regarding combat though, and moving into one of my hopes for this game, I want to see a big overhaul. I haven't messed around with any of these myself, but there are mods to make Frontiers combat more like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. This actually seems to have been the original intent, but they dumbed it down for the final release. I want to see the idea of a character action combo focus focus Sonic realized. Sonic's fighting moveset in Frontiers was really style over substance. A lot of flashy moves that did all the same things. Not bad by any means, but we could do better. The idea of Phantom Rush is cool, but what if each move was amplified by it? Once the meter's built up, it works kind of like a rage mode where you get more powerful and flashy variations on the attacks, like the Sonic Boom getting larger and with more explosive impact to damage nearby enemies, or the Cyclone Kick's range increasing and keeping enemies trapped in a tornado, where they're sitting ducks for more combos. Even outside of Phantom Rush, it'd be cool for moves to have more different effects for different fighting scenarios, like the Cross Slash having an electrified effect that stuns enemies, or a new move involving Sonic spines that damages enemies over time with prickles. Knuckles could apply a burning effect with his fiery punches, and Amy's hammer strikes could knock all the sense out of her enemies, causing them to attack each other. So many possibilities. Combat's just one aspect of the game, so let's talk a little about platforming. Actually, there's not much to add here. I think Frontiers' approach to platforming was pretty much the right way to do it in this format. Again, just more implementation of momentum-based challenges and a smoother player controller to improve the flow is really all I could ask for. Environments might need to be made bigger this time to accommodate, and I'd like to see more iconic Sonic elements like loops, corkscrews, and ramps in the open zones. I think cyberspace should stay, but keep the controls the exact same as the open zone, and maybe less levels to have them more concisely designed with a longer runtime. Oh yeah, and let's maybe not recycle the same 4 level themes with layouts from other games. I didn't have too much of a problem with this last time, but they cannot do that again. I guess the only gameplay things left to discuss are the boost, which I think should stay and be the predominant way to navigate cyberspace levels. You could even bring back the drift for these. The bounce could replace the stomp as part of Sonic's base moveset, of course helping to reach higher areas and carry momentum. Tails will have his flight, Knuckles can glide and climb walls, Amy can have more acrobatic abilities like swinging on bars and her triple jump. Now, to end off this gameplay segment, I want to see more enemy variety. Frontiers was pretty unique and varied in the guys you fight, but we could see some more unique designs. Keep the system of Guardians and Titans, even if it isn't exactly those things. Having those smaller bosses around the area and then a big fight with Super Sonic is such a great formula. Or even if not Super Sonic, maybe some cool tag team fights involving our playable and maybe even non-playable characters to take down the harder fights. Kinda like a raid boss. This could even be made into a cool multiplayer feature, but that might be getting too crazy with it. For the story of this game, I want to continue the idea that Frontiers set up with the end. That's the kind of idea for an enemy that could be recurring, since it's literally a personification of the concept of death. We could potentially see it again in another form, or even multiple forms, giving us a new set of enemies to face. Maybe have Eggman and Sage in there as a third party, trying to harness his power after learning about its destructive capability in Frontiers. That way, he remains a threat in his own right while still keeping the End as the main villain. Or, since he just came back, we could have Infinite as the main villain, and we fight his illusions as the main enemies while Eggman attempts to destroy him and take the power for himself. Tails, Amy, and Knuckles continue their character arcs established in Frontiers, with each of them on their own separate adventures at the start of the game, and then coming together as the story progresses. Then have Shadow come in maybe towards the back half of the game. I could already see that scene where he pulls up becoming one of the most hyped things about the game. Other characters could appear in the story as NPCs, like Cream and Cheese, the Chaotix, and maybe even the Babylon Road, which leads me into one of the major things I want to see with this game. I want this game to take place in some more Sonic-y looking locations, and maybe even ones we've seen before. Imagine a fully open Station Square or Angel Island to explore. This would be awesome for world building, especially with the more focused effort on this and the lore front from Sonic Team. Overall, just some more colourful and creative areas would go a long way to solidify the game's identity in a way that the first struggled with. Presentation-wise, take cues from Shadow Generations. Animation, UI, sound design, and graphics are all pretty top-notch there, so they have a formula to work with. I want to see some variety in the soundtrack like Frontiers 1 and Adventure, hopefully with the return of character-specific themes. It's been a while since we had those, and would be cool to see a modern take on that. Plus, they got all those artists that tour Sega HQ for something Sonic-related, right? These are just some of the things we could expect to see in Sonic's next major title, and a good amount of wishful thinking on my part. But I want to hear from you now. What kind of game do you think and or want us to get come next year? Do you think it even will be next year? Let me know down below. As of next week, we're going to be streaming here on the main Extra Zone Arcade channel, so stay subscribed so you don't miss them. They're pretty fun. We also stream on Twitch, so go show some support over there. Plenty more Sonic 35th anniversary content is heading your way, and you know we'll cover any news that hits the timeline. Alright, with all that said, have yourselves an immaculate day, and take it easy.